What's going on? It's Celso Oliveira, Erik Holstrom. This is Section 128, an LAFC podcast. And once again, we're going to be talking about a loss and a player that basically made the whole difference. And, all the, I would say, credit to this game, has to go in a sense to Hany Mukhtar, a guy that basically made the whole difference yesterday. So we're not going to be talking too much about him because he's not our player, but it's worth mentioning that he made a huge difference. But with that, we'll start with our guys from guys. Sorry, I'm a little bit slow today. Yeah, Erik. I still have the Hany Mukhtar hangover, man. Like if that thing was some booze, it's like I got too much of it, and now I'm feeling it on a Monday, and that's essentially how that game last night went. What a show by that player, brother. So, before we start shitting on our own team, let's talk about something that is just good to see, right?
Hey,
a DP that has been on the league for a while and is crushing it.
You brought up Hany Mukhtar, it's like unprompted. So I feel like I have to say one thing about this that popped into my head. How different that result could have been if we had Hugo Lloris in net.
Very much so. I think that was once again
he may have stopped
a decision that was
six, but he's injured. But anyways, he said that and it popped in my head. I'm like, this is a hot take that needs to go out because I haven't heard anybody say that if Hugo Lloris wasn't injured, he could have been the difference for the game. And look how big of a difference Hugo Lloris has been for this team this year if last night was any sort of precedent.
Yeah, bro. Like again, I'm just giving it credit where credit is due. But as you were saying before the game, before the show started, LAFC sort of put itself in tough situations by allowing the fouls to be drawn in front of the box like they did. And Hany Mukhtar, a very smart player, a very experienced player, got the best of it in not one but two free kicks. So go ahead and say what you were saying before, because again, you were critical a little bit of what we were thinking, and I had a comment about why I thought maybe it's not necessarily the player's fault that this happened.
Well, yeah, not to take it off of the coach because I think he deserves a lot of blame for our form right now. But there was just there is some sloppiness out there. Porteous, I thought both of the fouls he gave away both the fouls that led to the Mukhtar free kicks, and he gave them both away in just a horrible place. And they were very sloppy fouls to give. They're very clumsy, and I just think he could have done a little better on those. But he does kind of fly in a little bit, and kind of came back. I believe that was one of his issues on the Scotland team is he ended up picking up a red card, which really cost his team as well. So, there's a bit of a discipline here as much as we love seeing the hard head with him. I think those fouls didn't necessarily need to get given and they really cost us.
Yeah. And, I said that he could be the odd man out and I wouldn't be surprised if that's so. Unfortunately, however, he's in a good position with us because he's under contract and we believe that he was the guy. But, yes, he has a little bit of a temper and reminds me a little bit of like Jesus Murillo when he wasn't his best. Like sometimes like, hey, man, you got to chill out. But he's not as athletic as Jesus was, right? So I still would take Murillo over him. And the moves keep adding up for LAFC as not being that good. And we're going to be breaking these down and really digging deep through what needs to change after the Seattle game. Erik's like ready for this, and we're going to have a lot more preparation for it, just like the team, and provide you guys with all what we think about in terms of what should change, right, with this roster, with this coaching staff, with the tactics, who should be on their way out, next week. I would love to see some coaching staff changes, even if it's not the head coach, but some of the assistants perhaps perhaps need to be under a little bit of a different assignments, man. I don't know. Something is not clicking in there. And as you saw, Columbus fire their coach, Austin fire their coach and GM. So, they've had enough out there. So anything you want to say about just MLS kind of starting to make moves, right? Do you think, and, without teasing too much about next week, do you think it's just a little bit of a sign to come for what LAFC is going to do this summer?
I mean, again, I want to keep the powder dry until next week on this. And we want to go through kind of how much house cleaning we feel like this team needs to do, and, I have plenty of players that I think, should really take a hard look. I think players deserve a hard look right now, a lot of them. And I think the coaches also deserve a hard look. If we look at the way we're moving the ball at all, everything is just so predictable, and it's not really getting into any dangerous spots. We did have last night offensively was a little better. Son did have better opportunities. He was able to get the ball more. He was able to get the ball more spaces. He had more of an impact in the game. Bouanga did as well, but that was with Nahar getting injured. He played against a backup, but he did have some stuff going on. But regardless, it's too predictable. I think a lot of this falls in the midfield and how the midfield is being used in the buildup or not being used well in the buildup. And so for this week with Seattle, they're going to have some days in the training grounds where hopefully they can start drilling in some different concepts and see if they can pull it off and see where this team is. One thing when we went down 2-0, I sent a text or a tweet on that just saying, once we went down 2-0, I wanted to see how, if the guys gave up, because we've seen them look like they kind of gave up on the field. I wanted to see, okay, how are they going to respond to this? Because, we're just getting toasted again. It's like four losses in a row with a draw before that. It's a mess. This is the longest losing streak in LAFC history. So
shit. You dug up the stat. I'm supposed to be the stat man, but you dug up a horrible stat for us.
Yeah, but after that second goal, they went within 90 seconds and pulled one back, and Columbus.
They always had a chance, which I thought it was noble against a very good team, and
we stayed in the game.
We stayed in the game.
Number one.
And this is the advantage. I mean, I'm sorry. Let me just say something real quick, Eric. As we see sort of starting lineups, I don't know how well people can see it, and you can see also the grades on some of these players. Sorry about these advertisements, but one thing I'll say is Sonny wasn't too bad, and I had the assist, which again I felt like the offense tried, and we were always in this game. And if we had been looking at this loss after not a series of losses that we were like kind of head scratchers, like the midweek game against St. Louis, right? Which, we know one of the worst teams in this league. I don't think we would have been so critical right now of this team. But the fact is this team is just riding a 3-game losing streak and is now going to play against one of the best teams in Major League Soccer. And you saw what happened. And again, 2 of those goals coming from free kicks, and you see Thomas Hassau, the only player in there with a red score. So it's not very good graphics.
Segura's also red, don't Eddie actually has a worse rating than us all.
Yeah, Steady Eddie was lost, and he's been lost for a while now. And I think this thing that we found in the beginning of the season that had Eddie playing for us in a constant manner or being this sort of hybrid left back was working for a while and now has to be truly abandoned, and he has to just basically be relegated to a backup that he is. If he's there, if you need him to be there, great, but there's no way for him to be having that many minutes if guys are healthy, and if we can have a regular back, right? A regular 4-back with Artem Smoliakov perhaps getting more minutes that he has. There was no reason for him not to start this game. And if there was, it signals complete loss of faith in a U22 guy that is basically holding a DP spot from us.
I thought we looked better when Artem came in, honestly. And
thank you. And that's why I wanted him to start.
And the problem with Segura is Segura's been figured out. His first few games, people didn't really know what to do. But Segura has a lot of limitations, especially on the wing. One is
always have.
Eddie is not really a guy you want doing overlapping runs with anybody. And also he can't really cross the ball. Like, he really adds nothing to the attack, which is kind of my beef about Sergi Palencia as well. Now, Palencia has a role as kind of a ball hawk and
Yes.
getting in there on the press,
He
and
does so much press for us that
he
okay, all
does
right,
shut
buddy.
down the side, but Eddie's
Yeah,
having trouble shutting down the side. And two, when Eddie overlaps, he ends up getting out of position, which puts a lot
correct.
of pressure again over on that side. So it's just not working out with him over there. And we're throwing a center back into a fullback role, and it's kind of predictable that it doesn't happen. Usually it doesn't happen.
So let's talk about the game flow a little bit, because LAFC looked good in the beginning. We have some good chances. It looks like we're going to basically surprise everybody and maybe come out of there with a result, which we had a chance to do so throughout this game. And it doesn't work out, and you talk about how important it is to be able to score the first goal. So let's just analyze those first 30 minutes. Unlucky, of course, but a beautiful play by Nashville to get on the board. So that was when we saw Eddie Segura get exposed more than anything, right? So talk to me about those first 30 minutes of the game, because I thought LAFC was in control and suddenly it was 0-2.
It does, but I also think the first 30 minutes kind of highlights what's not clicking with this group. Our first big chance is one we had Chonier, who took that kind of shot that went wide. But if you look at that, like Chonier could have hit Son for a tap in on that, but chose to shoot instead. And so to me, this is just, it's not clicking. The guys up there are not making the right decisions. And we also see this, we saw other runs like this where Martinez puts the ball through the back line, but Son came short instead of making the run. We see guys making the wrong runs too often, which means I think in the practice, and this I'm sure comes into the schedule congestion as well. Yes. Regardless, they're not, when the guy does the give and go, the guy making the go pass, he's not he's hitting the wrong run. And so if that ball comes to you for a one-tap pass and you don't know where they're running, you hit the wrong place. It's like, this is a training problem.
I mean, go ahead. Please
finish your thought. The other one that came in was, Sonny had that breakaway, and this is in the first 10 minutes as well.
And it was a beautiful play. He cleared 6 dudes.
And the goalie,
the
goalie stood on his head and made the save. And it's another one of those games where their goalie made the difference, and our goalie also made the difference.
I love it. I mean, look, there's some people that we saw at least try, and we saw some energy and some flair, especially against an MLS side that it's good, but not great. And they're flawed as well. They just got eliminated just like we did in Conca Champions. But look at the midfield grades that I showed up earlier, right? Like their midfield with Quasem, and I'm sorry, I'm not saying this right, Corcoran and Acosta all had better SOFA score grades than Hollins had, which technically was playing mid, Tillman, Eustachio, and Chonier. So once again, the midfield, let's talk about the decisions there. First off, Eustachio and Chonier playing side by side. I don't see it. I don't love it. Tillman and Hollingshead on sort of the wings, right? With Hollingshead really playing as a de facto midfielder. So what did you think of this sort of starting lineup for Dos Santos, with trying to get Tillman on the side here behind Boanga, and Hollingshead, of course, having to be the offensive player behind Martinez?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many problems here. It almost is tricky to diagnose. Obviously, Mark Dos Santos's tactics and drilling and rotation has been a huge problem. I mean, that's easy. Everybody says that. You go anywhere online, and it's all you see is MDS out. I'm agnostic about it right now. I'm just because there's so many other problems. And the midfield, to me, is one of the big problems. And, if we're going to put Hollingshead in the midfield as well, same thing. Is the problem the tactics? Is the problem that some of these veterans who have been on our team for 3 or 4 years and who are older to begin with have lost half of a step? And that's another problem. And I think both of these things are true. So as far as you
got to recycle your roster in the middle more than sometimes in the top. And in the lower middle too, with these guys, look how many new names Nashville has, and these new players. Corcoran, like, I don't know, maybe he's been in the league for a while, but I thought he was excellent, and he gave our players a really hard time.
Yeah. I think
it's a good point. Very good point.
Yeah,
the timing is off because we're trying different things, right? It doesn't work. Let's try different things. 2, right? These guys are like trying to different formations, like different players that weren't here last year trying to play one next to each other. And we still don't have this very defined, like, best 11. Like, who are your best 11, right?
Yeah. No, I thought, I mean, Madrigal too. I believe Madrigal, he drew both fouls against Porteous yesterday. I thought Madrigal also had a really good game. And, that's the thing is with this roster in the midfield, it's just, I just feel like we just need to turn these guys over, because their time is come and gone. It's not clicking. At the end of the day, we either need to massively clean house on our roster or we need to massively clean house in our coaching room. Like, one of those two has to get changed up. Maybe a little bit of both needs to get changed up, but it also gets hard to start switching players around before you understand like how the coaches are going to utilize those players, which I've been saying for a while. It feels like what Mark Dos Santos wants to do, which I don't think I know anymore what he wants to do, because I look on the field and I can't really tell what we're trying to do at all. But what he is trying to do, the players we have in the field aren't quite doing what he needs them to do. And so then the question is, do you bring in a coach that's going to look at these players and have them do what they're better at doing, which is basically Dolo ball. I think Dolo did get it right with his team and how he had them play, but he also had a lot to do with, probably influencing some of these guys coming in. So, it makes sense, so that's the thing with this offseason. Do we get the midfield? Let's go through, right? Eustachio on his loan. I don't see us picking him up. I don't think we should pick up Eustachio. Tillman, I think it's been a long time to move on from Tillman. What he does, he's great at dribbling. His progressive carries have been looking really good. His progressive carries look really good yesterday, but his final product just doesn't work for this team. He can neither get the ball in the final third to our playmakers, nor can he put the ball in the net. So it's kind of like what Latif Blessing did for us. He's just kind of a midfield destroyer, but he gets in the final third and he's almost
just
worse than useless.
Yeah, I agree. We need someone a little bit more assertive. Delgado, and he's reminiscent of the last system as well. Delgado, yes. Go ahead.
Delgado looks like a shell of his former self that played with us.
All right, now you're giving away the next show, so go easy on your projections. They all look weak, and Artem looked good when he came in. We saw a little bit of Jude Terry, not enough to really make a difference. Yeah. But I think next week we'll like bring every contract that we have. It's a no-brainer, right? We need flexibility in this league, and a player on loan that hasn't shown their potential and showed they can be brittle, excuse me. They probably should go away and like should open up space for someone else. So I would expect that. But, you got to have suitors for Tim Tillman. And, he still gives us something good if he's put in a good position. Like when he's not out there, we look like worse. So I always like, well, what would we look like without him? And how do you replace the guy, right? So I'll go JT on you. Unless you have a replacement for these dudes, you cannot get rid of them. And we have to ride the storm. I agree with you also. Mark Dos Santos deserves one transfer window where he's like, look, these are the things that I need. I'll turn this around in 5 games. But right now, I don't have the personnel. I thought I did. I thought I could count on some guys. They're hurt or they're old. I need something else. These are the lists. But now you need some good scouting, right? And I think the problems that LAFC has had can go beyond. Again, I'm not going to name any names, right? But if you look at some of the hires we've done, like for a while back, like, is it working? The kinds of players like Porteous, we go after these guys, they're not panning out. Is this really working beyond the guys that are being brought in by John Thorium? But let's give Dos Santos one window, right? And then we'll go into a very short season after the World Cup anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see what LAFC does and can we turn it around. All right. 20 minutes in, let's talk about Seattle. I mean, I know we got another game, one more game before the break. It's a big game. I think it's a statement game for Mark, for the players, for the institution that is LAFC. So I have a really good feeling about this game because these guys, they might have something to prove as well, right? So I'll go to you and let's open up with just your first sort of feel about this. Like, do you feel like LAFC is going to show up or really just fold completely to make a statement that this is time for a change?
I don't know, and the thing is with the game, I feel like the players are still fighting. I don't feel like they've given up or anything like that. Like the body language, again, after going down 2-0, they come right back and score, and they stayed in the game and they kept fighting. So this is a positive thing to see, and this is the one thing, like, if I saw 2-0, the shoulders drop, they stop running, it's 3-0, it's 4-0, then it's like, of course, like, you need to change things up at this point just to get them out of their heads, But with that not being the case, Seattle's a tough team. Seattle just dropped a game at home to Carson. So that's, they're going to be looking
Carson Surgeon. What's up? And that's our game on the way back from the break. We have an El Tráfico.
We absolutely need to stop this momentum. We need
negative momentum.
We need a strong showing. We need a strong 3 points. And I agree with Fluffhead. Porteous has been good too, for sure.
He has not
been great games, but
it's been good and bad. It's like both.
And this is
instability. Like which Porteous is going to show up? Hothead Porteous. And does he have enough friends in the locker room? Let's talk body language, Eric, real quick. I saw some very frustrated LAFC players in that field yesterday. I saw a lot of like, oh my God, I can't believe you didn't pass it to me. Particularly from Sun Wei-Ming. Like it seemed like he was just not happy with what he was seeing around him, despite I know things are not going well, right? But, do you see this as well? And again, I'm just picking up little moments of a very tense game. And it just seemed like everybody just had something else to say to their peers. And is that signaling to you maybe a little bit of a fragmented locker room and a little bit of problems that we're not seeing and they're permeating beyond, like, even in practice? It's like, what is your kind of like temperature of the team right now, knowing that they know they're going through a losing streak?
I think a change needs to happen one way or another soon. And more than Sun looking frustrated, we'll point to Denny Bouanga's post-game interview. And I think was it Andy that asked that question, Andy Diasa, that asked the question to Denny Bouanga, basically like, hey, what's going on? And Denny said, hey, yeah, I know last season we were playing a tactic, and this season we're having to play a little deeper, and we're just not able to connect like we were last year. And he says, we're trying to do it, but we're not. He was specifically asked about his connection with Sun and how great they were together last season, how they scored, and this year it's nothing. And with Denny, he's basically like, yeah, the system changed. And now with the system change, we're just not able to do it. And so I see a lot of that there. And, this is, like I said, I mean, this team is very close to drifting into a dark place. And it's hard to get out of those places when you get there. We've seen it happen to a lot of teams. Like you get into that slump.
Good teams.
Yeah, and Seattle's a good team, and Seattle's going to come hard at us.
That usually happens after a catastrophic injury to your key player. Like Carson lost, Ricky, and then they just couldn't get back from that. You couldn't, and I actually thought I was like, wow, Ricky is good, but he's not that good. So part of me feels
he's
like
MVP. He's practically an MVP level player when he's
100%. He's top 5, top 10 in this league, and I believe that. He gives us a really hard time, but I do feel like LAFC has to show up in this game and has to basically stop the bleeding and go into the break feeling good about themselves. It's more about a mental mindset now than anything else. Hey, guess what? We're back 3-0 against Seattle at home. The 32-52 is happy. Sonny scoring like two goals. I'm already giving up my prediction, but I really believe that's the need. That's the type of statement win that we all need in order to get out of the funk. Like, oh my God, like everyone is asking, like, when are we going to replace the coach? Like, I don't think we should replace the coach right away. I don't think so. He just got appointed. He's just going to appoint it and we're 8th. Like, yeah, we're downsliding, but like we had good runs in CCL. We beat a couple of good teams and we're going through some shit. Like we don't fire coaches in MLS after four bad games. You just don't. You got to give this guy a little bit more time.
Well, I'm not opposed to firing a coach after 4 bad games. It depends how the losses go. Sometimes you just have to shake it up to salvage a season. But I don't think that's quite the case yet. And the one thing I would also, I hear you, Henry, and I'm not going to argue. Like,
but I'm trying to address people that really want him fired, like Henry. Like Henry's fire him in tomorrow. I'm like, bro, we'll have to pay his salary.
I'll get through it. If he gets fired now, like, what do we gain from that, really? And the thing, there's a supply and demand aspect to this. The World Cup is just about to start, and when the World Cup ends, there's going to be a lot of coaches available. The Premier League all the Europe just ended. There's a lot of coaches available. They're going to be available in a month. They're going to be available in a month and a half. I think there's no. We go to an interim coach right now, which I don't even know who it would even be at this point.
And I don't trust the assistants.
Yeah, no.
We fired the wrong one.
We got rid of Razov, who he was a senior guy, but we kind of have Oka, the goalkeepers coach. I mean, he's the next.
Yeah, I would name Oka before I name anybody else. And like, do you want Oka out there? Like, I don't know.
Coach. You want to have a goalkeeper? Yeah. So
speaks offense. Can you speak offense, Oka?
So
goalkeepers can become really good coaches. Don't get me wrong.
No, I know. So Henry, as much as like I would not be upset if he was gone and they announced a replacement. I just think getting that replacement for him right now is very difficult. And I think if we're a month and a half from now, it's much easier to find a replacement for him. And the other thing too is going to be, and probably should be, out of house. It's going to be a whole new system, a huge disruption. And this season's just going to be like picking up the pieces once that happens. But again, do we just continue what we're doing now? Because there's no future in that either. So I get it.
What I would do if I was going to replace the coach, I would start having conversations right now. Let's say you wanted Wilfred Nancy, which I think is the strongest name out there.
I got something on that.
Thank you. I mean, maybe someone else is going to go there, right? What do you have? Okay, now I want to hear.
So
And by the way, there's two teams without coaches right now.
Informal conversations with a source at Columbus. They had kind of spoken about Nancy, but Nancy, from what I understand, he wants to stay in Europe. He's not looking to come back to MLS. Like, he's looking to have his next job in Europe. So
that's okay.
He doesn't want to come back.
But that's hypothetically. Respect his opinion, and just like Dolo, he just doesn't want to be in MLS. Then
yeah. So I mean, it's fun to hope for Nancy, but I think the chance of that is almost zero.
But so you're coming to a great point, which is if there's no replacement, don't replace it, right? So the change can be worse, and now you're in a horrible situation where you may not even make playoffs. Say it. Do I have another name?
Yeah. And then there's Jim Curtin, another great available coach who,
oh my God, no.
Who, from what I understand, loves Philly. His family loves Philly and doesn't want to move. So,
right, but the man also don't like to be unemployed, and they need money. So, if someone says, "Hey, you're unemployed, you want to get the fuck off the couch and go, have like any roster player you want and coach Son Heung-min and not look like a goddamn loser to just disappear off the earth after being a really good fucking coach," you give LAFC a call. So again, I'm just a man with a job and an ego, and that's just me. But again, before you do all of that, give this dude a window and an ability to just get out of this funk that he's in. Now, I think it's hard for JT if they're boys, and this was something that it was known and he was going to take over, it's hard for JT to say, "Hey, I'm just going to pull the plug on you and negotiate behind your back with a Wilfred Nancy," which was my point earlier before we talked about Wilfred may or may not want to go. But hey, guess what? Wilfred, come to LAFC. I already fired this other guy. Oh, okay. We'll see you in 2 months after the World Cup. And now you have to go to Mark and say, "Mark, this has been it. Next week's going to be your last game. Let's not say anything about it." And then you have 3 months to move. Which one's less cruel, right? And which one's not going to happen? Neither of these scenarios is going to happen. We're going to ride with Mark until the break. And that's what we're going to do.
being cruel. I mean, look, professional sports as an industry is an absolutely brutal business, and it's a business of no mercy. Like,
Not on LAFC and not in MLS coaching. I don't believe so. I think you have so much leeway in this league, and LAFC, as someone put on the chat, like, we just don't fire these dudes, man. We just
also,
don't. We let them ride.
and this is why we only have one championship.
That's a good point. And this is why we might need a new GM. And this is why Austin essentially said, you know what? We're not just going to get rid of the coach. We're going to get rid of the GM as well. So there's always those conversations. We have some very intelligent and able owners. And I believe in our ownership. I do believe that they're have our best interest in mind. And if it comes down to making bigger changes than the coaching, they're going to make it. And if they're going to press JT, they're going to say, JT, you got to get the fuck out of this guy because it's not working. And I think if we get embarrassed in Seattle, let's get back to that in the 30th minute of the show. If we get embarrassed in Seattle, the conversations are going to be very different, and the leash might tighten up to like Leagues Cup, right? Whereas like Leagues Cup is basically, if you don't really perform Leagues Cup, we might be looking to make some changes. So let's talk about the game outcome, and we'll do lineups at the end, right? But let's just talk about how do you think the game goes. First half score, which is something we don't usually do, and then final score of the game.
Yeah. I'm going to be a little more optimistic here. I do think that the Nashville game was a much better game than they have been playing. Nashville's the best team in the league right now. They're number one in the Supporter Shield, and we played them a 3-2 on the road in their house. It wasn't like we got dog walked 5-1 like we did against Houston or anything like that, or 4 to whatever it was. Like, we didn't get embarrassed. We came out there and we played a game. So if we play the game we played then and we'll be at home, I feel like we can squeak a result out against Seattle. A lot of this to me is going to depend if Hugo Lloris is back. If we have Hasal back, it gets tough. I don't know if after that game they want to go to Cabral Carter from the over the academy. Basically, Cabral Carter's like 20 years old, like 19 years old, might even younger. Great kid on the academy, but that's a whole question there as well. Is what do you do if you don't have Lloris? And I think that's going to be the difference, I think, between like a 2-2 draw or a 2-1 win or even a 2-0 win. I think if Lloris is healthy and plays, I think we win this game. If he doesn't, I think it's going to be a draw or a loss. So I'm going to have two predictions. The prediction Hugo Lloris plays, we win 2-1. The prediction where he is injured, I think we have a brave face from the boys, and we close with a 2-2 draw, which still really, it doesn't really bring our momentum back like we need, but it is what it is.
Damn, you're making some predictions like based on players playing stuff. I love it. This man's handicapping himself. Love it. First off, how disappointing it is that we don't have a decent backup, an experienced goalkeeper, a guy that's been out there that can give you leadership minutes, and when the other goalkeeper's hurt, you don't have anybody that actually can do the job. Very concerning. What I saw on the first free kick, and I forgot to say that, is that the wall was pathetic. It was 3 players. It was out of position, and he was way on the other side. I was like, oh my God, dude. What was that? And these two guys like, and the ball just went, I'm like, oh my God. That was insane. Was insane. Cabral Carter is not the answer though, bro. Like,
defense.
That's just like, let's play Tomas Romero, because we can't trust like some of the Pablo Cienega.
I was going to say Tomas Romero too, actually. But
here we go.
But no, in defense of the wall, the kick did go over the wall. Porteous was the guy on the left, and it went just in between his head and who was next to him was probably Segura. They probably put Segura next. It might have been Tafari, but
that wall was horribly positioned because walls are about reference points, so that the goalkeeper has a safe position to be. And that dude just abandoned it. And like, to think that at that distance you're going to be able to cover the entire distance of the goal if he bends it over the wall, it's absolutely pathetic. But that ball had enough time to make its way down in both shots. It's insane. I mean, like, and if you and you want Oka as the fucking coach? I'm just kidding. I am totally just kidding. But in terms of developing Hasal, I haven't seen it. Cabral looks shaky as fuck for a young goalkeeper. And by the way, there's a lot of young talent out there that are kicking ass in this league. So, again, very concerned what's going on with LAFC with the youth. We haven't been able to produce a quality player for a while now, man. Like, that's one thing of concern. So, yeah, maybe we play Cabral. To me, same thing. A tie seems right. Two teams that just want to get out of this tournament and go for a break. Like you said, the Sounders just got smashed at home. They're just really just looking for maybe some time off, after a season that they're doing really well. They're about this as good as they all usually do. Good enough to be the fourth in the West, getting through the playoffs, right? That's usually you can expect of a Seattle coach, coached by a really good coach. So I think 2-2 is probably the score no matter who's out there, just because we're not going to see the quality of players and quality of shots that Nashville had being away. So with Hassal being out there, I still think we have a chance. And yeah, I think you should get a new chance. And maybe he's one of the guys that's on the chopping block. And that's a person that a position that we might have to find some new talent in order to fulfill that 2 or even 3 position. Last year, we carried 3 goalkeepers. This year, we carried Cabral Carter, which is actually an LAFC 2 goalkeeper. So that's not working. So that's my prediction there. Now, let's talk lineups, Eric. Last thing for us today. We'll start with the goalkeeping. Who do you think is going to start? I thought it was a little bit more load management for Hugo than anything else. He was just conveniently popped into that injury report, so he didn't have to go to Nashville after all that traveling. And of course, I think we're still missing Jacob Schaffelberg, which is with the Canadian team. Is that right? Yeah. But he wasn't playing as well. So we still have some other losses because we have some guys that are basically with the national team.
Oh, wait, no, Schaffelberg got the injury list, correct? It can't be the Canadian team because isn't Eustachio and Chonier play with the Canadian team too? I think Schaffelberg picked up an injury.
Did he? Because he wasn't even on the injury report, so maybe I missed that.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, so he wasn't on the field, maybe and he wasn't in there. So I kind of got that. And yeah, so again, I don't know what's going on there, but Schaffelberg, when he's not gassed and when he's not playing Mexican teams, named Toluca, he's pretty good. He makes a difference, and I think it was a big difference. I mean, hopefully he's available. But who are your starting players for this game?
All right. I would start. You know what? I'm just gonna put who I want. I'm gonna put Smolyakov. I'm gonna
Hassal or Cabral? Cabral or Lloris? You think Hassal's gonna play and Lloris saying, "I'm going to France for vacation. I'll be back after the break."
I'm just going to assume that Lloris's injury isn't good. I mean, if Lloris is healthy, he obviously starts. And whether he starts or not doesn't be irrelevant to the rest of my lineup. So I would go with Artem Smolyakov, Aaron Long, Nico Tafari, and on the right, I'd put Raposo. And then
lineup.
Yep. Midfield, man, I cannot wait for Baudry to come back from his injury, because I think if he was, what could have been with his development over this spring. But regardless, midfield,
he had a doubtful status, so he was not out. He was doubtful. So
he's close. He's
progressing.
Close. But I think he'll still stay out. I think they'll bring him back after the break. But so in the midfield, we're going to probably go Tillman, Delgado, and Terry, just because I want Terry to play. It'll probably be actually Chonier. Tillman, Delgado, Chonier.
Let's experiment, man. Put our boy Terry to start at home. God damn it.
I'd love it. But I do think it'll be Tillman, Delgado, Chonier, although I would love to see it be Terry. But if I'm predicting, it's going to be those 3. And then the front's going to be Bouanga, Son, and Martinez. And that's that. And then probably somebody will sub in for Martinez because he cannot go 90 minutes for whatever reason. Maybe he just doesn't have the stamina. It's just not him. He's just not a 90-minute player. Some people aren't built to be 90-minute players. They're only built to be 60, 70-minute players. And we do see Martinez's effort kind of fade as the game goes on. So,
because he's going hard,
yeah,
for 70, and then like you need a speller, but that's okay. We have depth. We have guys like Tyler Boyd. We have dudes that can play behind him. And that's what they were brought in for, not to be starters and features in this roster. So I love your lineup, by the way. Yeah, I would start 4 in the back. I mean, like, abandon the 3 in the back thing. 3 center backs is never a good idea. I don't agree unless you're actually like playing from behind, or if you're the worst team out there and you have to defend, which maybe in Nashville was the right formula. And look, it was not bad, but it didn't work out because Segura stunk. But I would play 3 in the back. I would not play 3 in the back. I would go back to Porteous. Yes, he's sloppy, but he's probably as good as he gets right now. And Tafari's playing a really good ball. I don't know what's going on with Aaron Long, but he was a sub available, but didn't even get into the game. On the left side, Smoliakov and not Segura, of course, and Hollingshead playing as a right back, just a solid right back, going up if we need you to. In the middle, Chonier and Eustachio to me are kind of like the same player. So to put them side by side seems like a waste. So I would actually start Chonier and sit Eustachio, let him just be a sub that comes in. We're going to get rid of him anyways. And then have Delgado, because, he's the guy we have. And from time to time, he actually shows up, right? So you got to be like, all right, we got him. We got to play him. And another guy that kind of needs a sub. Now, up front, again, very simple. Keep the 3 guys that are doing the job. If you really wanted to get cute, you would put, like I said, put the boys to play, a Matt Evans and do you play Matt Evans in a game like this because you haven't seen the game with the ones for a while? But definitely a Jude Terry in there and give them the 10 position and make Sonny up front and take Martinez out, right? But when you do that, you're kind of killing the best chance of scoring that you have. So it's a tough decision to do, even if you want to feature one of the players, right? And you don't want to go like straight up 4-2-4 with Evans up front. So that's my starting 11, right? Again, if you want to just try some stuff, put Terry in there, take some chances, allow Smoliakov to start at home, right? And in the goalkeeping, Hassal has to be your guy, right? I think he was unfortunate, maybe some inexperience. Watch some tape, reposition your wall. Let's work on your free kicks and let's move on. That's it for me.
yeah.
You gave your prediction, right? You said basically tie or win based on who starts and go. I said tie.
You 2 otherwise.
Yeah, I said tie, and that's it. Do you think Son Heung-min will score a goal this week? That's be our last question.
Probably not against Seattle. I mean, Seattle's
again.
They're a pretty good defensive team generally. Like Seattle's always a very solid team. So, but he should have. He should have had one last game.
It's more of a hope than anything else because
I hope he scores.
Kind of
I hope he scores.
I know a lot of people want to see him score. So again, I hope I get surprised. And on Monday we're talking about a win. It's hard for us to do 4 losses in a row. We've never done it. It's just been hard talking. So we're gonna get out of here. And again, Eric, appreciate you talking and being on the show here. Maybe not our best outing, but we're here no matter what.
Next
Monday, we're gonna show up no
game.
matter what.
Yep.
Different from what some of the guys here on the field with LAFC. But thanks again for everybody that tuned in, and we'll see you next month.